Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of The Gavel, featuring attorney Anna Toledo. Ms. Toledo is the senior attorney and general counsel to Targeted Justice. She has a background in constitutional and environmental law and is an experienced litigator, including 2 cases at the U.S. Supreme Court. And here's Ms. Toledo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode number 37 of The Gavel, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the news relevant to the community of victims of government weaponization, as well as the relevant developments in our quest for freedom from this horrific program. I'm your host, Anna Toledo. I'm an attorney with over 30 years experience in litigation, in civil rights, in First Amendment law, in constitutional rights, and most recently in fighting for freedom for targeted individuals. I have a specialty in environmental law from Vermont Law School, which is probably what got me into being a victim of government weaponization, my desire to help disenfranchised environmental justice communities in Puerto Rico. My goal of this podcast and myself is to expose this unacknowledged special access program, because once it is no longer covered, it can no longer operate. It depends on being covered. Many people ask, why expose it? Because exposure is the means of shutting it down. Exposure of the crimes that are being perpetrated by government criminals is the only way to shut it down. That's why exposure is 101, the most important thing that we pursue right now. To begin with, I want to invoke Bible verse, because this space, even I have a lag. So we know that government criminals are watching, and they decided, if they decide this to go on or not. So let's just see if they get a little bit inspired with the Bible. And there is you can find this in Jeremiah 33:3, and it says, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and will tell you great and hidden things that you have not known." We all know, well, most of us know that no prayer goes unheard. And through prayer, revelation, hope, especially during difficult times, is that we can get to have those aha moments and get the strength to continue fighting the good fight, which is what we've been doing. All of you are walking miracles. Do not forget that. And every morning, just when you open your eyes, just be grateful to God for another day ready to fight back against these government criminals that have stolen so much from you, owe so much to you, and will be forced to pay a lot to you. So please help me defeat censorship. Share, like, and subscribe in all the platforms. And if you can make like little shorts of this, because if I had the time, I would fully dedicate myself to this. But I really don't, because I work 7 days a week on this battle. This week has been a frozen one for many people, for half of the United States. And I had vowed that I would never, ever live in a wintry place again. So I have no choice, because I decided to come to DC to fight from here, to knock on doors and fight for shutting down this horrific program. So this week, it was my turn. Let me show you what I had to live through this week. It's not funny, but yeah, here's the receipts. This is Mari, who came to stay over because of the storm. She came and she took that video of me just to have the receipts of, it was hard. It was ice. And what I do want to show you is that Dr. Mihalcha, wait, if only the criminals allow me to remove this from the stage right now. Dr. Mihalcha today published an article, a really important article. Wait, while I remove this from you, about the falsity, the fake storm, and I'm going to share with you the link for you to access it. And also, I'm going to read you a little bit of it. Well, if I can share you this link here. Okay, here it is. Dr. Mihalcha wrote the following. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Hola, Niels, que linda. You're so much happier than me because you're in Puerto Rico, right? Here's the article from Dr. Mihalcha. And those of you that are interested in chemtrails, this is definitely something you want to read. Listen to this. She wrote, for decades, the U.S. military covert weather warfare operations, including chemtrails, have brought suffering to the U.S. population. Superstorms, hurricanes, floods, and disasters are intentionally engineered. For the military owns the weather. Of course, it is of interest that graphene and silica dioxide particles used for ice nucleation is also used for the brain-computer interface and self-assembling nanotechnology. So all of that fake snow and all of that fake ice contains graphene and silica dioxide. Magnetic nanoparticles and graphene can be successfully used to create these superstorms. These nanoparticles end up in our lungs, organs, the food we eat, and the air we breathe, and as we know, in our brains. Graphene and silica dioxide particles used for ice nucleation are used for the brain-computer interface. One would think that our military attacking the U.S. population in an act of weather warfare would be against the Constitution and lead to persecutions. But under the guise of top secret national security, we know about that, right? This is allowed and continues to go on. If our military drop bombs on us, people would be outraged. But since it is the weather, most don't understand that this is engineered. It is war. Just as the COVID-19 was sold to us as a virus, these horrific weather events are sold to us as natural by the mockingbird media. The shadow government military-industrial complex, with its depopulation agenda, continues to be in effect. For how long will this go on? And of course, this is all part of, it's all connected. The targeting program, the COVID-19, PSYOP, a biowarfare with the vaccines that contain nanotechnology, that many of us know what the results of those were on some of you that got vaccinated. So there you have it. The ice and the snow, and you could tell, because for as long as I have watched the weather reports, the storms come from the North Pole. They don't come from the south, number one. And I lived through it with Hurricane Maria. It was a completely fabricated storm to depopulate Puerto Rico. And a person that I met, he told me the plan was to get rid of 400,000 Puerto Ricans so they would go to Florida and change the election results. Yeah, that's true. Anyways, and it's illegal. So now let's continue with the news. There you have the article from Dr. Anna. I tried to melt ice, and I did a little video on Facebook. I put it on Facebook. It does not, a little drop came down from the chunk of ice that I had I applied the fire to. Okay, so I continue to have lots of doors. The storm really set me back an entire week. But there are many doors to knock. The first one is the door of Representative Rick Crawford. He's the chair of the House Homeland Security Committee. And he is demanding that the intelligence community retract, listen to this, that they retract the report where they say that there are no foreign powers involved in Havana syndrome. So he's asking the intelligence community to lie, because if the intelligence community criminals already admitted that there's no foreign powers involved, why is he trying to force them to lie, basically? And this came as a result of the death of a targeted individual, a former national security agent's counterintelligence official by the name of Mike Beck, who had some sort of Parkinson's disease, and he had Havana syndrome. And he was forced into retirement in 2016. And so Mr. Crawford called on the intelligence community to retract that report. And he says the intelligence community assessment carry a great deal of weight, particularly when declassified as part of a public messaging effort, as was done with the anomalous health incidents intelligence community assessment. This flawed document has caused serious harm to our nation's bravest. No, Representative Crawford. The harm has been caused by the CIA that continues to lie, and by those covering up for the CIA and colluding with them, like the U.S. Space Force. Those are the ones that are harming us. So he needs a little lesson. He needs a visit and a lesson. The problem is these people have these gatekeepers that is very hard to penetrate, but I'm never giving up. So you better believe that he will get our version of the facts. So that's Mr. Crawford there. He needs a lesson on how directed energy weapons are less than 5 blocks from the Hart building. As many of you have read the article I wrote with the pictures of the weaponized cell panel antennas in one of the buildings that faces the Senate buildings. Okay, so we're just hoping. Tulsi Gabbard made public comments on this issue on media reporting on the ODNI's efforts on anomalous health incidents. She is consistently clear and principled in her handling of this, and we are trusting that she's going to come through for the community victims of Havana syndrome. Now, exposure, this one is really good. I want to bring you, exposure is really happening. And I just, if anything, like Scott Adams, he taught his audience to connect dots. And if I can in any way, thank you, Judy, in any way I can get you to connect these dots and to be very vigilant. One of the things that saved me from the horrific things in Puerto Rico was that I was very vigilant. For example, right in front of me in my house, there was a car, a Prius, and it had a purple bumper sticker that said Circus Arts from the ACT. Well, it turns out that it's called American Conservatory Theater, and that is in San Francisco. It turns out that one of my sisters did a master's in theater in that place. So I know it's a graduate school for acting and arts and all sorts of arts, and they have a circus art. Well, guess what? I had a trapeze professional. She was very thin, that would come down through my interior courtyard in Old San Juan. She would do rappelling because I would be like, how is she coming in? How they're coming in? She was coming in through. And then I connected the sticker on her car. I saw her with the rappelling, and then like, oh my God, that's how they're getting in. They got a trapezist, or I don't know how you say it. I'm just translating from Spanish. That's how they were getting in. So when being observant, so I'm going to take you little by little on this. And of course, when I would see her down the street, I would walk by her and say, stop breaking into my house. It's illegal. But I made sure nobody listened. Nobody else heard it. And of course, they didn't stop. Well, here, exposure is happening. On January 22nd, Richard Lighthouse went on the Prather Point. And he did a magnificent presentation, short but magnificent and to the point, on the weapons used in Venezuela, that they reported nosebleeds and mouth bleeds, right? Okay, that was, connect the dots here. That was on the 22nd. After he went on Major Prater's show on the 23rd, guess what? On the 23rd, the United States Department of War admitted for the first time since the January 3rd arrest of Maduro that they have directed energy weapons. And even Trump went on an interview with a journalist and said that they have a discombobulator, right? So then, this is on the 23rd. Watch this. Then on the 26th, the news media reported that on January 18th, like a week before, ICE had detained Chongli Scott Thao in St. Paul, Minnesota, during a warrantless arrest by ICE. He is a 56-year-old United States naturalized citizen. He's not a criminal. He's a law-abiding citizen, and I am absolutely certain that he's a targeted individual. He was dragged. Let me show you, for those of you that have not seen the picture. He was dragged on sub-zero temperatures. He was woken up. He was dragged out in his underwear and with that blanket, no shirt. And when you see his legs and when you see his stomach, you see that he has microwave burns like the ones that a lot of people have sent us to Targeted Justice and that we have published in the website and in the flyers that we make. So the ICE people said that they confused him with a sexual predator that happened to be in jail, right? Yeah. So they even pointed a gun at his 4-year-old grandson. Yeah. This is all harassment. They did not confuse Mr. Thao. They went and harassed him because he's a targeted individual. Look at the burns on his legs. So they didn't have a warrant. They pointed guns at the family, and they took him. They took him away. They took his fingerprints, and then they returned him home without so much as saying I'm sorry. They did not pay for the door they broke because they broke the door. They did not apologize to him. Okay. Now, the reason I'm bringing this to you is because of the following. You know, Targeted Justice does not advocate for violence ever. Okay. But we do advocate for exerting our First Amendment rights. Number one, ICE is carrying out warrantless entering into homes without any warrants. And they say, oh, no, we get administrative warrants, whatever. But in this case, this man is a law-abiding American citizen, U.S. citizen. So this piece of news is, making the rounds, not as much as it should have, because notice, this happened on January 18th, and it was not until the 26th that it was published in the newspapers. Why the lag? Why did it take almost a week for it to be published? However, they say that it was operational overreach and error. That's what the press says. I say no. It was targeted harassment of a targeted individual. He raised money through a GoFundMe, and he's contemplating suing ICE, and his family. They already contacted the ACLU. So I really hope that this case brings to light a lot, because it was a clear abuse of power, but he's clearly a targeted individual, in my opinion. Now this one you're really gonna like, because this was like a gift. It was like if it was Christmas. Mr. Steve Friend, one of the suspendables, the whistleblowers, FBI whistleblowers, he exposed that the FBI invented an entire category of domestic extremists just for Trump supporters. Let that sink in. It's out in the open. Cat is out of the bag. The dam has cracked. It's called AGAAVE, which is anti-government, anti-authority, violent extremists. And when you add those to parents protesting at school boards, which under a memo under the Joe Biden administration were categorized as violent extremists, the people that oppose COVID mandates, that under a December 2021 memo, they were categorized as domestic extremists, the Catholics that were listening to Latin Mass, that were categorized as extremists, then we have a plethora of completely innocent people that have nothing to do with terrorism, and we're all there. The good thing about this is that the more people that have been illegally placed on these lists, the more support we have in our cause, even if we were lingering on this list before 2021 or 2020. Now, so this is something I urge you all to, spread around, because the people that are anti-government, anti-authority, violent extremists, because they were Donald Trump supporters, well, many of them probably have access to people that have a power to pull the plug on these criminals. So now this one you're really gonna love, because this is an admission of guilt. Like in legal procedures, when somebody admits a fact, you do not have to present evidence to prove that fact. And here is
You guys are doing here. Yeah. Look at them. Look at them. The ICC guys. Be careful. Be over here.
It's not illegal to record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So
We're videotaping you? Are you crazy?
Okay. I just have to play that again because that's such a pearl. Because we have a nice little database, and now you're a domestic terrorist. Listen to this creep admit what we have been saying forever. Listen to this.
Why are you taking my information down?
because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So
We're videotaping you?
For videotaping, because she was being a Karen, but she was just videotaping them. She wasn't doing anything violent there. And there you have it. That is an admission of guilt. And for those of you that have not made your submission to Rand Paul and the committee, I need you to include this clip. Okay? You need to include this, because this is an admission of fact that they put people in a nice little database as domestic terrorists for simply exerting their First Amendment rights. And this is an ICE DHS employee saying this. I really need you, if you have not made your submission, listen, every single one of you counts. I need you to go to my Substack, copy whatever you want to copy from there. The email address is there. The whistleblower form link for Senator Rand Paul is there. The limit is February. And I really urge you, please comment on the Quiet Skies and says how Quiet Skies is just the tip of the iceberg. What you need to investigate is the FBI criminality placing law-abiding Americans and legal residents on these criminal list, pre-crime lists. Please, this is our moment to continue exposing them. Okay, Niels, don't get on my case. I know she was just filming. It's true. She was not being a Karen. She was just filming, and every single one of you that if you're in this city where there's people doing civil rights abuses, you wear a body cam. Yeah. Yeah, the link is right there, right before your comment. Eve placed it in here. Let me show it in the here. That's the link. Okay, so this is huge, and I need you to send this link to Rand Paul. Okay. Now, the Senate Judiciary Committee held a meeting today, and the star of the show was Josh Hawley, who is such an amazing person, such a Christian man. And I'm going to just show you two short clips from him. This is another thing that I'm going to be, I'm going to have to be following up on, because as you know, in April, FISA is up for renewal. And then two of the people that went there to propose that, no, this has to be permanently approved and not put it again for renewal. Just permanently and forever approve this criminality. And then Holly, here it is. Holly, let's do this Holly thing. And then there was a woman from the Brennan Center of Justice that she said, no, this is just so outrageous. And one of the things that really bothered me is that she said that Kash Patel had removed the office that
every right and every reason to talk to foreign officials, and of course the executive branch
that had removed the office that did oversight of the FBI criminals submitting the FISA applications. So that's something I have to look into. But listen to clip 1 of Josh Hawley today in the Senate Judiciary.
Normal Americans, who is somebody who's got a family member who lives overseas. I don't care who the person is. My point is, when you've got in a single year 278,000 improper queries, it seems to me it makes no difference to the Americans whose data was improperly searched to say, well, but it's really okay because you weren't targeted. Yeah, all your stuff was read, all your private stuff, but don't worry, you weren't targeted. I mean, apparently you were effectively targeted.
Yeah, Senator.
That's one. And then the other one, which was really good. Now, there's a little lag here because the criminals didn't want me to show this to you, but I'm going to do it anyways because this is a public record that happened today. And so Holly is great, and I hope he comes through because there's a lot of deep state people in that committee.
None of
this
information with the American citizens is received.
Hold on, let me start it again.
Yeah. So none of this information with the American citizens has received any process whatsoever. But now the FBI or the NSA, whomever, can go and query this database for the first time and get information on U.S. citizens, particularly for the first time. And you're telling me that that's not a separate Fourth Amendment event?
Yeah. So Holly knows his constitutional law. He's a brilliant man. And the problem is in that committee, you have people like Cronin that literally his staff kicked Dr. Sally Priester and me from his office because he's a CIA asset. Okay. And that's the kind of people that are in that committee. So we have to hope that Josh Hawley, with his brilliance, can steer the committee towards where it should go. Now, this one is a really interesting. See, the information is coming out from different places. Thomas Massey, whom I believe is clearly a targeted individual, but he doesn't know it yet, explained, that he is not President Trump is getting on his back, and he's
consultants have quit,
on.
like on my campaign.
He's not being favored, and he's being discriminated against because he has been really, first of all, because he does not take APEC money. Second of all, because he has been insistent on the disclosure of the Epstein files. And he just, he doesn't sell his soul to the devil. So listen to what he has to say. He is so absolutely targeted. And I can totally relate to him, because you and I know that, like, when you try to get an attorney, this is exactly what happens. Listen to
3 of my consultants have quit, like on my campaign, and all 3 for the same reason. And I don't blame them. I'm not even mad at them. If I were in their shoes, I'd probably quit too. They were told that your other 3 clients will fire you, or sorry, your other 30 clients will fire you if you keep working for Massey. And so they make it hard to basically to hire the people. Then and for everyone that quit, okay, you go out and you interview 10 people to replace them, and they all tell you the same thing: I can't work for you, or I'll lose all my other clients. So it's like it's a mafia in the consultant world. By the way, I really love the consultants I got now, because they're the ones who said, screw you, I'm going to work for Massey because I believe in what he's doing, and I'm good enough at my job. I'll go find some other clients.
There you have it. That's exactly what they do to us. They sabotage anybody we hire for anything. And that's just the truth. So I'm going to go through, check out the comments in a little while, but there is something that is like weighing heavily on me, and I want to talk about it. And it is that I know that we are so over the target, not just targeted justice, not just Richard Lighthouse, but now me. We are so over the target that the government criminals are very desperate. And the way they show their desperation is through slander, making up stuff. Let me tell you something for those of you that don't know. And I never like to brag, because I think my father was a very humble man. He graduated from Wharton. My dad was like incredible. He was like almost non-human, but and he was very humble, and he taught me that. But I have to tell you, I graduated from an Ivy League, Columbia. Then I studied at the University of Puerto Rico Law School, because my father was a professor and I didn't have to pay a dime for my education there. Then I passed the bar the first time. Then I took a master's in environmental law at Vermont's Law School, one of the best schools in environmental law in the entire nation. Okay. I also passed the real estate agent exam, which it's right now I have it inactive. Okay. I won a case, a very important citizen suit case in the First Circuit. You can look it up in my Rumble channel, because the oral argument is there. So for all those people that are not attorneys, that have absolutely no sense of what it is to litigate or to be an attorney, and are going around criticizing me or my work, you should know that you are doing the work of the enemy, because there is not a single person that has left everything behind, came in here. I could be deriving an income as an attorney anywhere else, and I do not derive an income by being here. I get my expenses paid thanks to the people that generously donated to my Gives and Go, so I could make it here. Shame on you for attacking me, for fighting for you, and for those that are attacking me. Shame on you. God sees it all. And unfortunately, there's people that have hurt me a lot, and all of a sudden I learn, and some of them have passed away. More than 10 have passed away, people that have really hurt me. So, God sees it all. Just be very careful, because I don't wish bad upon anybody, ever, because God takes care of things. but do not go around hurting the people that are trying to help this community that so much needs it, because that is repugnant to every civilized concept. Anyways, last Thursday, this is the last thing I wanted to share. And even though it's a little sad, and the criminals are really attacking my back, but even though it's a little sad, I wanted to share it with you, because there is redemption in this, okay? And it is my dog, my beloved dog, the last of my pets, passed away last Thursday on the day that I was in the Rayburn building, because I went to see the hearings on the special prosecutor that was that those hearings were happening, and it was a really interesting, and I want to write about it. So my little dog Rosa, she passed. As I was in the hallway, my friend called me and told me that she had passed away. And so Pelusa was my beloved friend when I discovered that I was targeted. Are you there, or are we frozen? Are we frozen? Can you hear me? Can somebody tell me that? Okay, there. That was also my kitten that I had to give her up in adoption because she was severely tortured. You can see her torture videos in Targeted Justice website. Well, so Pelusa, she called me and she told me she passed away. What I have to share with you is the following. First of all, for those of you that I know that your pets are tortured, please know that, you know, my comfort is that I gave her the best I could. I couldn't give her any more, you know. That's my comfort. That's number one. Number two is that she serves as an inspiration, because along with the people that have passed away that I absolutely love from this community, and for all of you that are being tortured and that I know about, that are so close to my heart, even if I haven't personally met you, I fight for each and every one of you, and I do so also for the pets and the children. And it just breaks my heart, because I fight because I don't want animal cruelty to ever happen again. In fact, the day that we're free, I yearn for the day I can go back to Puerto Rico and fix they have an estimated 1 million stray dogs and cats in Puerto Rico, because they just have no sense of how, you know, countries are judged by the way they treat their animals. So you know, I am going to be using Pelusa's passing as an additional inspiration to fight the criminals that are horrifically torturing all of us. Because don't think because I sit here and I pretend I'm not tortured, I'm not, because I am. Anyways, I really think that the lawfare is off the charts. You can see it in Enrique Tarrio. They're trying to put him back in jail. You can see it when they try to set up Tina Peters, that a court of appeals is about to come down with a decision saying that her conviction was illegal. So they sent another inmate to attack her. So Tina defended her so that they can file charges against her and keep her in jail, because I have no doubt that Tina Peters is a targeted individual as well, and they entrapped her into this. So you all have to be very careful. Avoid situations where you can get entrapped. Be very vigilant. Be very observant, because the criminals are desperate. And that is why they have increased the torture. I ask you from the bottom of my heart, please be very vigilant. Be very safe. Do not drink and drive. Do not go to bars and have a mixed drink. No, you're going to get poisoned. Be very protective of yourself and your family and your pets. As to the announcements, I want to tell you, Melissa is going to be taking a break from her Chosen Heroes. We're going to try to make up for it with something. We haven't come up with anything yet, but just so that you know. Number two, every last Saturday of the month, I'm going to be present, and our new vice president for Latin America, Professor Javier Dadan, is going to be in a call, but it's going to be a live stream / Zoom call. This Saturday is the first one, and I'm going to try doing it. So you're going to, if there are any technical issues, you're going to have to excuse me, but please share it. I'm going to post it everywhere. If you know any Spanish speaking TIs, please share it with them, because that is a complaint we get a lot, that we do not have enough support for the Spanish speaking community. Okay. Horacia from Chile is going to be there, Maritza from Mexico, and Javier from Argentina. Thank you for supporting my mission for freedom. In the show notes, you have my link to my GoFundMe. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Even though I plan to stay here until April, I am promising you, I am not leaving this city until we are free, whatever that takes. Okay? So thank you for your support, because I'm probably going to have to stay here for much longer. And thank you for being here. Let me just check if there's any questions. By the way, try the video when they kick you out of the rep. Yes. Well, okay, here's the thing, Judy. The thing with sometimes they don't let you film when you, and that was only Cronin. Cronin was the only one that kicked us out. Nobody else has done that. It was only Cronin, because he's deep state. Now, thank you, Pam. Now, what I want, let me just check the comments, see if there's any questions. I am organizing the people in different states regarding the Privacy Act. Please remember, Chuck Grassley exposed the prohibited access and restricted access files. And Rand Paul publicized the nomination form of Christine Crowder, who was in handling code 3, who did not get the 4 S's when she would board a plane. What that means is that opens the path for us for our Privacy Act request and to file our lawsuits under the Privacy Act. So please, if you haven't done so yet, I need you to go targetedjustice.com/legal. The first tab is the Privacy Act. Copy it and send it adapt it to your they're attacking me so hard. It's okay. Send it priority mail, because if you do it through the web, it has a 5,000 character limit. Okay. Well, thank you. And I hope to see you next week. I will look through your comments, and then thank you, Jane. Yeah, my little dog, the way I see it, they tortured her to the very end. The way I see it is she's no longer suffering. And for that, I am grateful that she joined my other animals that the criminals killed too. So for that, I am grateful that I know she's over there prancing in doggy heaven with my kitties too. So let me check. Hi, Eve. Yeah, they are Nazis. God bless. She was just such an amazing dog, because when all my friends turned their backs on me, she was the only one there for me. And then Mabel came and rescued me. So, okay, let me just check. Thank you, Nils. Love you. Miss you. Thank you, Autumn. Well, I don't have any more questions. Please, send your Privacy Act request. This can, like Kash Patel said about the prohibited access files, that he brags that he kicked down the prohibited access file door. Well, guess what? We're gonna kick down the door of those prohibited access and of all of those nominations that they have been hiding, of hiding victims of government weaponization. And even those that have been entrapped and convicted, I urge your family members, if you're a family member of somebody that has been convicted, you need for him or her to file the Privacy Act request, because he or she was not giving their Brady materials. And this is very important, because you could even technically resign the conviction. So please have them send the Privacy Act request, or you can go write it for them and have them sign it. So you send it for them. But this is very important. It could make a huge difference. It could even mean, I'm not promising anything, but it could mean a lot in terms of the sentence that this person could be having to live through. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. And I really hope to see you next week. And remember to send your comments to the Quiet Skies. Go look my Mira. By the way, if you are subscribed to my Mira, check your subscription, because the criminals are eliminating I get a notice that, yeah, you have one more subscription, but the numbers go down. So what that means to me is that for one subscription I have, they remove two. So if you have subscribed and you support my work, which I deeply appreciated, well, please check that the criminals have not unsubscribed you. Anyways, thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.